He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is The Alex Marlow Show.
This is The Alex Marlow Show. Thanks for joining me, especially if you're new. Leaving a 5-star review is always very helpful. Hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss a show. All that's good. We're a 5-day-a-week show, and we do some audience feedback. You can email me always at aloha@alexmarlow.com. I read everything, and I respond to a lot of stuff on the air as well. And a lot of stuff is ripping through the Marlow Show here. Our Ed Martin exclusive from yesterday, where he's announced his name and shame campaign against the deep state as the weaponizations are. Super fascinating guy and a good guy, good man. And Ed, some of you know this, was my one of my main fill-in hosts when I was hosting Breitbart News Daily, and just a great movement warrior. And he provides a lot of the detail on why so many of the Republicans opposed him. It was because he had trashed them all when he was a pure at heart radio host for so many years. So a good interview for you, and you can get that wherever you get your podcast if you missed yesterday's show. But maybe you guys didn't. And you know what's interesting is that then immediately I have Ed on, and I'm asking about his background. I'm asking about if he's going to pardon Derek Chauvin. I'm asking about what the plan is to clean up the deep state and the weaponization, as the weaponizations are. And then I get offline, and I learn that we've got a super mega viral piece of content at Breitbart where Trump has called for the pardons of this reality TV family, the Crisleys. And Todd and Julie Crisley are getting pardoned. And this is just all over the internet. And I got to admit, it's a blind spot. I don't know the Crisleys. I'm always happy, which is very nice about winning. This is one of the benefits of winning and being in charge, is that I can sleep well at night not knowing if this is just or unjust, because I always just can assume that Trump is correct on this stuff. But I don't know the Crisleys, and if you guys want to fill me in on if there was a miscarriage of justice against the Crisley reality show family, then please let me know. But they are free, and I'm sure Ed had something to do with it, and then Ed was here, and I didn't ask him. But it's still fun. We get a lot done in that conversation. I hope all of you enjoy it. In fact, I know you will if you check it out. So today's show is just going to be me. There's a lot of news I want to get to. There's a lot of things that have been in the news last couple of days where I feel compelled to give you my thoughts on it, and then we've got a ton of terrific audio, a lot of unhinged lefties and culture-y type stuff, which I will play in a little bit. One other thing I will note that yesterday I had some reading time, which is I'm always at my best when I'm reading. And I read most of Original Sin. I read about 75-80% of it. And so I'm hoping to do a big book report for all of you on the show, hopefully tomorrow, if not on Friday's show. But not a lot of surprises, I'll tell you that. Not a lot of surprises in the book, but I got a lot of stuff to say about it. But overall, did not learn a lot. I did not learn a lot, and it was more I think there was a lot of dirty laundry that was being aired via anonymous sources, and I think that a lot of it was a entertaining endeavor. You know, Jake Tapper is writing fiction also in his spare time, so a lot of this was written at a very nice pace, but a lot of it is not rooted in reality. And if you're trying to get a lot of insight into the Bidens, you're not going to get much. And it is an exercise in suspended disbelief that Tapper and this Alex Thompson character from Axios are trying to convince us the media missed the patently obvious decline of Joe Biden. So far, 80% in it, that circle has not yet been squared. So I will come back with a full book report when I finish the book. But it's nice to finish things before you review them. This is something that always really frustrated me when we were launching Big Hollywood with Andrew, our first group blog, which was Hollywood-centric. I always found it very strange when people would try to review movies they hadn't seen or criticize our reviews when they hadn't seen the movie. I always found that to be sort of a strange thing, that people like to review things they haven't seen. It's very nice. Let me free you of this. Let me unburden you of having to have a review of something you've not watched or read. You do not have to. You have no obligation to have a strong opinion on something you have not actually read or watched. I know there are some of you in the audience who are hearing this, and you're feeling unburdened now. You're feeling like, that's so great that Marlow's saying that to me. He's giving me permission to not have to always have an opinion about things I don't really know, but maybe someone I like online has mentioned them. Trust me, you will have a slightly, I'm not saying you'll have a great life, but you'll have a slightly improved life if that happens. It did remind me of this clip that was going around over the weekend that we covered at Breitbart from Sam Harris. Sam Harris is common online talker on YouTube. He's one of these guys who he'll have a long form conversation with just about anyone, which is a credit to him. But I disagree with a lot of the stuff he says. He's a knee-jerk Democrat. He's a committed atheist, and stuff I don't get. But it's typically more interesting when people will actually explain themselves and talk. And he had a take on this whole phenomenon that we're now acting as though Joe Biden was not a mental decline that I caught over the weekend. I want to share this with you all and give you my thoughts quickly.
I think it's quite possible that he was just checked out to a degree that I did not suspect at the time. But to close the loop on this whole scandal, even that is preferable to me and to, I think, many Democrats than having someone who we consider to be genuinely evil, genuinely 100% purposed to serving himself in the office of the president.
I wonder if Tapper called him up and said, hey, Sam, you're not supposed to say that. That's the whole thing. We're trying to reset it. We're trying to blame Joe Biden for everything now. We're trying to blame Biden's inner circle, trying to blame Dr. Jill Biden, a bunch of people who will never be relevant again, so that we get off scot-free. You're not supposed to admit that really everyone knew Biden was an invalid, but they preferred him over Trump. And the whole goal was, don't make it a referendum on Biden, make it about Donald Trump. And once you do that, then you have a chance to win. So that was literally the definition of the internet saying the quiet part out loud, which is something that is, I don't think that's very, I don't know why that caught on. It's a very awkward phrase to say, but that's what it is. Is that you weren't supposed to, of course, that's been my take from the start. And by the way, 80% in the book, I don't feel any differently than that's what's happening. They're just trying to scapegoat the Bidens and a small group of people in the inner circle so they can free themselves from the guilt associated with blowing the election to Donald Trump, the person they hate the most. They consider him pure evil. So Harris goes on from there, but I'll leave it there because it's an older clip. I want to start moving on. But one other item I will bring up before we get into some more fresher stuff is the Democrats did set aside $20 million to plan to win back young men. And I want to highlight this so that we can delight in it, that this is where they are, is we're trying to get Trump's agenda through, and I'll give you some big, beautiful bill updates momentarily. Trying to bring peace around the world. We're building golden domes. We're going to have Gaza Lago, where we're going to have resorts popping up in the Middle East. And this is where these guys are at. Can we invest money into trying to figure out who could be the next great left-wing podcaster? And because they have to astroturf it, because the problem is a lot of these guys who are in the podcast space actually were sort of naturally Democrats or naturally liberals, at least, if not on the left. But the left lost them. The Democrats lost them because they're so close-minded. They're so totalitarian. And they have all these ideas that young men are just not going to vibe with. Young men are not interested in women becoming men. Okay? We're just not. We're not interested in being told that you're looked down upon if you work out. Have you noticed how they acted like now being healthy is now a MAGA value? It's now it's red-pilled if you go to the gym. Young men like to go to the gym. They got energy and they got the opportunity. If they don't have to work that hard to be in great shape and then to get girls. A lot of them are into that stuff. That is not going to be something that if you're going to give that to us, we're going to take it. That sounds good. So a lot of the anti-science stuff, the lockdowns, the fact that the Democrats are so uncool, they're so old, they're scolds, they're not funny. The right wing, we're funnier now. We have better memes. They told us our chicks are hotter. They told us that celebrating traditional female beauty is better, is now a right-wing thing. And the left likes to celebrate normalcy, not excellence, not stuff that most people throughout human history would regard as aesthetically appealing in terms of beauty, physical attributes. And they're just giving us all that stuff. So if we want to admire a beautiful looking, sexy woman, then they're giving us that. And that is fine. We'll take it. But don't do all that stuff and then think, yeah, we need to spend money on figuring this out. No, you're too close-minded. You're too dumb. You're too old. Your people aren't charismatic. You're not funny. You're not in good shape. You're not beautiful. What are you offering young men that they could possibly want? A billion abortions? Like, they don't want a billion abortions. Like, that all you got? The trans men beating women in sports, we don't even like that because it's unjust, because a lot of good men like justice. We like justice. And it's one of these things where when you see men podiuming in a women's sporting event, even if we don't have a stake in the game, we see that as unjust. So I don't know who they've courted with these votes, just these fringe populations. And that's what they've been going for. It's not working, but it's great to see this report, New York Times, Democrats huddling up in luxury hotels, trying to figure out what happened to young men. Well, I just gave it to you. And the reason why I can spell it out that way is because you guys you're not going to fix it. You're just not. You're not capable of it, because it is a rejection of everything you've stood for the last decade plus. And that's too much. Most people can't handle that. Most people can't handle just coming to terms with we've been really, really, really wrong. So Republicans are excited about this. The Senate Republican campaign arm gave us exclusive at Breitbart News. That's the National Republican Senatorial Committee, basically gloating, doing a dance in Schumer's face, saying that 20 million is not going to be enough for them to figure out how to appeal to young men. I agree. I don't think it's going to be enough. I really don't. So it's good. And then you get, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez out there, who is their most charismatic young leader, who is incredibly left, good looking, and has an online following, can speak the language of the youths. And then she comes out there this week and she says, we're going to abolish ICE. That's her latest thing. She's thinking about whether or not to run for president, I'm sure. And she's, talking about abolishing ICE, which is something that she's reheated from 2018. She was the leader of the Abolish ICE kick for the Democrats in 2018. And then what happened? We did not do enough to secure the border under Trump, largely because Congress was intransigent and Trump couldn't figure out a way to get around it until his fourth term. And then, of course, Joe Biden intentionally took off all of the good that Trump had done right away. I wrote extensively about this in Breaking Biden if you want more details, but taking off the Northern Triangle agreements, ending Remain in Mexico, ending Title 42, stopping construction of the border wall, boom, right there, completely went back to square one. And even more so, even more important, conceivably, is sending a message to everyone around the world. If you get to America, you figure out a way to get here, then you should be good to go. We're not really going to get in your way. And so now we're abolishing ICE. That's where we're at. And I'll tell you, abolishing it is not even enough for some of the unhinged Democrats. Misty pulled a clip, which is just, it's almost, I can't believe they're giving us this. And if we had enough Borats on the right, I know Matt Walsh is doing a little bit of the Borat routine, which I think is smart. But if we had enough people on the right, and we created this stuff, I would totally believe it, that this is a right-wing plan. But check out this guy that Misty found on TikTok for us.
In a rare bit of good news in these incredibly depressing times, the director of ICE has come out and said that assaults against ICE officers have gone up 400% in the last year. And I just think that's the coolest statistic I've ever heard in my life. Like, first of all, good job, everybody. I think that
So they harbor violence in their heart. I know he thinks he's being cute and coming up with a funny take. But just know that this is a call for violence against ICE. And if I took these people more seriously, then this would be an outrage. He should get visited by law enforcement, because he's using whatever platform this guy has. I have no idea if he's a big guy or not. I didn't care enough to look it up, because I do think this is reflective of what is in the hearts of so many Democrats. They do want to see ICE abolished, and they do want to see violence against people who are trying just to enforce our border laws. That's how triggered they are, and it's so unbelievably unappealing.
If we all work together diligently, we can get that up to 1,000%, right? And then next year we go for 2,000% over this 1,000% increase. And obviously this is indicative of the increased presence of ICE in our.
So he wants it to be 400% is not good enough. We need 10 times the violence. We need 20 times the violence. That's the goal. They want people to suffer physically for trying to enforce our immigration laws. Just know when you hear that, you're hearing a violent person, And you're hearing people who hate this country. They do not believe our country should be a country of law and order. And once you understand that that is the left-wing voter base, there's an encouraging thing on an electoral level, because you feel like, how could this party ever be popular on a nationwide level? We'd have to be a terrible group of people, terrible society for that to work. And we're not terrible, are we? We got our faults, but we're not terrible. Really noteworthy that they're saying this stuff out loud, and they feel like this is what's going to actually get them clout online. I think it's setting them back, but they ain't listening to me.
In our country, when you're out on the street committing heinous crimes on a regular basis instead of every now and then, you're going to get resistance more often. And I just think this kind of information, along with all the losses that Trump has suffered in court recently, are really just galvanizing everybody to say, hey, we don't have to sit down and allow this to continually happen.
So you know what's interesting about the Trump losses in court? They're not really losses. There's stays, there's TROs. Trump's going to win most of these things. So Trump knows this too. As I've talked to him, he's not that discouraged by it. So a lot of the lawfare, and remember, Trump vanquished the lawfare apparatus with his the trials against him during his between his two administrations. Way more detail on that throughout the year, because I got a lot of research on that coming up that I'm going to break down for all of you. But overall, Trump is doing fine with the courts. He could do better, but all things considered, he's doing fine. And here's the thing, is that when Trump wins a lot of these things on appeal, are these people all going to melt down? I sure hope so. To echo my point, and they really don't like this country, Misty has pulled me a Rosie O'Donnell clip. I watched a little bit of it. I know it's up to par, but I've watched it all the way through. So let's enjoy this together.
So many marginalized people in our nation, millions of people, are going to go hungry. Millions of people are going to die early for not getting their medication. Millions of people are going to suffer as a result of the big, beautiful bill. So for God's sakes, call your senators right now and tell them, talk to some Republicans.
She refers to our country. She's not her country anymore. She left. She's Irish now. You're Irish, Rosie. Just choose. Don't weigh in then. If you want to leave, if you want to quit, it's just, this is like sometimes my kids, if they're frustrated with a game, like one of them will just sit out and mope and then try to tell the other kids how to play. Like that's what she's doing. Like she can't do that. She left. She's out. She's out of the game. So what a sad sack. This is the whole thing, that she must not have anyone around her telling her that this hurts her cause. Because I feel like if there's someone on my team at Breitbart who put out a video and they look like a big sad sack like this, I've got two options. The first option is I tell them, you're a sad sack. Don't do that again whenever you're on camera. The next thing I would say is just not put them on camera, just not approve whatever appearances they were going to get invited to do. And those are my two options. I'll tell you what's not an option. Not doing anything and letting them keep going out and being a sad sack. So it's really, really unbelievable. They're just trying to create content, I guess, for conservative podcasts.
To some Republicans, get the ones you've known for years and take them out to lunch and go, listen, dude, do you get this? Do you have a grandmother? Do you know what this is going to do to all the elderly in this country? Do you have any understanding of what's at stake? Like, this is the most blatantly corrupt thing that Mango Mussolini has ever come up with.
I wanted to wait for the Mango Mussolini because, again, these are the highest stakes. We're all going to die. All the elderly are going to die. The world will never be worse off than it is after the big, beautiful bill passes, which is the centerpiece of Trump's agenda for the first year of his second term. But we're going to make a joke on Mango Mussolini because his spray tan gives him a mango color. So just know it's all dead serious. Unless I feel like I could use some alliteration and make fun of Trump's spray tan. Then it's funny.
Honestly. Very infuriating.
It's great. All right, so I'll cut in with a big, beautiful bill update. I've connected with the great Bradley J., who covers his stuff for us at Breitbart. And this is going to be, I'll do little bits and bites for you on this, because this is going to go on for a while. There's a lot of layers to it. But the senators are appearing to favor the reforming of the one big, beautiful bill. They're adding the one. I can't convince them on the branding there. But look, it works. Trump's better at the branding than I am, but I feel like big, beautiful bill is good enough. But the OBBB, as it's being called, is they're reforming it versus starting from scratch. Thune wants it done by July 4th. I think that makes a lot of sense, but just know it's going to be a long month debating this stuff. I think that's a good target. I think that maybe even lining it up so that we celebrate our July 4th with the big, beautiful bill. I think Trump would dig that very much. And so one of the discussions and part of where Rosie was might have some be guiding us in the right direction to some degree. Medicaid, which is a very complicated thing because a lot of it is funded by the government, the federal government, administered by the states. So you get stuff like Medi-Cal, where I'm at in California, which is horribly administered and run by the state of California, but largely funded by all of y'all. And that is, that's not a formula for success, but we want to do reforms without axing out people who deserve it because a lot of people are dependent on it and have been dependent on it. And they've been kind of preparing to be dependent on it for a long time, which is part of the curse of big government, is that when people assume the big government's going to be there for them, it's very hard to take it away. They just put a marker on that comment in case we come back to it with entitlements. So in terms of spending, a lot of Republicans are not happy with the current levels of spending cuts. Senator Ron Johnson's been very vocal about this. He says he's seeing $1.5 trillion in mandatory spending reductions, but he wants that number closer to $5 trillion in order to vote for the bill. So let me state something. This is really important before we get into more detail. This is going to be a W. Trump, we voted for Trump. This is what Trump wants the most. Trump has said this from during the transition that the big, beautiful bill or the one big, beautiful bill was his top priority. This gets his agenda in motion. And the stakes are pretty dang high because if we fail on this one, then what's going to happen is that we're going to have a scenario where the Trump tax cuts expire, and thus it'll be something, I heard numbers like 24% average increase in taxation on your average Americans. That's a monster number, not acceptable. It will curse us in the midterms, and we will lose the midterms. So that makes you think that they've got to figure out a way to get this done, and some people are digging in now, but it's all horse trading. And so this is going to be a win. So Republicans have got to get on board, but they also know what I know, and they know what I know that they know that they know that I know it, and thus they're going to ask for more. So, and you guys see I'm messing around a little bit, but overall, people feel like they can negotiate because they feel like they need to bring everyone on board because a very narrow majority for Republicans. But overall, we all know this thing is going to pass. Eventually, it's going to be a big celebration for July 4th. That's the plan. And so how much can people get? And Ron Johnson feels like, I'm a cut guy. I want more cuts. Rand Paul is saying that he does not want to extend the debt ceiling through the midterms unless he gets even more cuts. Rand Paul, I don't think, has ever voted for a debt ceiling increase. And Matt Boyle is reporting exclusively for us at Breitbart News that he has indicated willingness to support one here, but he wants more. He wants to see more cuts than what's in the House bill. And if he does not get it, then maybe he'll vote to extend, but not all the way to the midterms. So that's another one to keep in mind. We're also looking at Josh Hawley, who I will speak to on this show next week if everything stays aligned. But when Senate's out this week, who's come back next week, we're on his agenda, and I will ask him about this stuff specifically. But he's taking a very populist line, defending the populist conservative principles here, and a lot of it's what I was talking about with Medicaid. A lot of those Trump voters who vote in rural America, we're not going to be taking away their Medicaid. Hawley's going to be making assurances there, and I think that's really interesting. We'll get more nuance and detail from him down the road. Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, they're concerned about rural hospitals. And this is another one where a lot of those rural conservative voters are going to be a big factor here to get this thing to completion. Let's see. I got a SALT update for you. The Senate is looking at SALT again. Spending hawks are going to push to eliminate the SALT concessions that the House made. Recall the House jacked up the SALT deduction from 10 to 40 grand per person, so I think it's 80 grand per couple. And a lot of the Senate Republicans are going to say that's a no-go. There are green energy subsidies left in the House bill, stuff from Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. The GOP senators, a lot of those in the House wanted them in, the moderates. The Senate probably is going to take it out. And we're also looking at the prospect of a vote-a-rama, where when we get down to the end, we could literally see hundreds of votes on various amendments. So all that's coming. But Trump wants a bill on his desk ASAP. Senators are under a ton of pressure. Trump feels like this is the key to getting things going and then also to moving on. Another conversation we'll have later on in the show when I have a little shorter agenda. We'll talk about the Doge cuts, and I'll be doing some media on this too. So I'll try to my ideas will formulate on this as well. But Doge and this bill are not the same, but there's a principle here at work, which is we are in cutting mode. We are in cutting the fat mode. We are not in wasteful mode. So it's very hard to maintain that perspective and to try to champion those values when we're also blowing up the deficit, blowing up the debt. So there is pressure from an integrity standpoint to try to get as many cuts in as possible. A lot of the Doge cuts are going to get codified with the appropriations. So the appropriations are supposed to get 12 of those a year. That never happens. It always ends up in some sort of omnibus bill, but it is well underway as of now, the effort to try to, and Tom Cole's the guy who's doing this, who's apparently a total nerd on this. I've never talked to him, but I would like to. But he's promising appropriations bills are going to be on the move by July. So we'll be funding those little, not little, they're actually quite big, but these moderate sized parts of the government individually. That's a big positive development. Republicans want to do that. But step one is getting the one big, beautiful bill through. So they got to make sure everyone's happy so it can get through. So once we get that done, I think we'll have a lot more Doge time. But I think the principle of the matter is we want them cuts, but we also want to see the agenda move forward so that, ironically, we can focus on more cuts down the road. So I want to cut as much as these guys can. I trust Rand Paul to show some leadership here. Hopefully Senator Ernst as well. So, but the one big beautiful bill on the move and looking very complicated. I got to admit, looking very complicated right now. But I still feel I've got hope. I've got hope things are going to work out for all of us here in big, beautiful bill land. All right. Other things to do. I want to mention a couple other things that Trump is doing that I think are noteworthy. One thing that he's got, this is a Doge item, Social Security has officially removed 12.3 million individuals who were listed as over 120 years old. So either we need to be tracking these people down, interviewing them, and learning what their secrets are, or we need to be cutting them off the roll. So that's a lot of savings, and that's a great job by Doge, and that's what the nerds are doing. So we weren't doing that without his a must team of nerds going around and figure that out. So credit to him. That's very good. It does remind me, whenever I'm thinking about saving money, I do think about the one big, beautiful sponsor of the show, Priority Gold, the original people who are on board with the Marlow Show. If you want to learn more about them, you just go to prioritygold.com/freedom, or you text the word freedom to the number 24999 on your mobile phone. Gold's over $3,300 an ounce. It will only go up from here. This is the safe bet with all the chaos. We don't know which bills are going to pass. We don't know where things are going to be. We don't know how the midterms are going to go. But one thing we do know is that over time, gold's going up. It's going. And Goldman thinks it's going to hit 3,700 this year. When I started endorsing gold, it was 40% lower than it is today. It's up 25% year over year. And I've got terrific partners, just fantastic people, Priority Gold, who are deep supporters of this show. So if you're on the fence, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, reach out to them, prioritygold.com/freedom, or text freedom to 24999 and hear more how you can get into a gold IRA, 401k, get their gold guide. They're there for you, good people, and they're here for the show as well, and they're going to help you make money. So there you go. All right. Other stuff that I like that's on the move in Trump world. The FBI has reopened a probe into cocaine found in the Biden White House. Why not? Let's do it. And they're also reopening a probe into the leaking of the Dobbs decision, which overturned Roe versus Wade, which was clearly designed to get a conservative member of the Supreme Court assassinated. There's no doubt that's what it was. It wasn't maybe trying to get a Kavanaugh or someone who, I don't know, to flip their vote on it, but more likely they were trying to encourage someone crazy to kill one of the justices and then have it become perhaps a 4-4 decision. And that's what they wanted. And so that is 100% what whoever leaked it should be brought in for questioning. And they should be asked publicly and then privately, whatever it is, to investigate. Was that your intention? Because I would assume it is, unless they're stupid. But you would have to assume that the reason they would leak that is so that someone would kill one of the justices, and then that thus would stop the overturning Roe versus Wade. Because if they believe that abortion is a fundamental right, an existential threat, if you take it away, all this mumbo jumbo, then would they go far enough as to try to get someone to kill one of the justices? Of course they would. So that's the logic, and I would love to hear them explain themselves. Very, very important. And I'm glad Trump's opening it up, because that is a national disgrace that we never fully got to the bottom of that. Trump's also picking off some low-hanging fruit. California has changed girls' track and field championship rules after Trump threatened funding over trans athletes. So, again, this is great. Trump just forcing people's hands. It's just so awkward that why is this the hill the left wants to die on? And it's one of these things where I've got faith that I've got young girls, 1 and 3, and I've got faith by the time they want to run a track meet, we'll have gotten through this horrific phase in our life. But if the Democrats remain bubbled, and they will, then maybe not. And it's disturbing stuff to see it. We got some really weird trans clips that we pulled for you. This is something from Misty Grab from TikTok. Check this out.
I got so mad at work today. I got misgendered by customers 5 different times. 5 different times. You could obviously tell I am a woman. And I got misgendered 5 different times.
So this is someone who might be mentally ill. Okay, definitely mentally ill, might be mentally retarded, and or a great actor, one or the other, and is a guy who impersonates a woman and is going on TikTok and probably does not have a lot of purpose in his or her, I think it's his, life, and just feels like he can get some clout by going online and claiming to be a victim because someone wants to talk to you like your biological sex. So very, very strange stuff. Let's hear where this goes.
I finally yelled at one of the customers and looked at him and says, "Do I look like a goddamn man to you?" I sure did. And then I told him if he called me a man one more time, I was going to reach across this counter and slap him. Which I got.
I'm going to have to cut my face out of this thing because it's like it's hard not to laugh. It really is. And I'm not trying to pick on this person because this person is part of a contagion, a social contagion. But obviously this person looks like a man. Like, you can't just grow your hair long and then just decide you're a woman. Like, that doesn't work. You can't just put a woman's top and decide you're a woman. There's much more to being a woman than wearing a blouse. Okay?
Which I got in trouble for and wrote up for at work because I shouldn't be talking to a customer that way. But damn it, if I tell you that I'm a woman, then you need to freaking listen.
So, of course, and I can't do any more than Missy. It's so good, but it's like I'm getting myself in trouble somehow. It's of course you should not talk to any customers that way. She'd get fired for that. And then also you can't just decide what you are biologically. If we want to have a society that's rooted in facts or science or rules or logic at all, then we're carrying a little far, wouldn't you say? I got some more. Check this out. Here comes the latest Disney princess.
The bottom is from Thailand.
Coconut bread from Thailand.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Ma'am.
No, sorry, my bad. And the middle one is from India. It's the papadom with the gingerbread chutney.
Okay.
And the third is from Brazil. It's a cheese bread with the guava sauce.
So those of you who are missing it on the screens, you're seeing a man who's clearly a man, talks like a man. You can hear the man voice, but dressed in children's Mickey Mouse attire, a Minnie Mouse ears with a bow in light pink, light blue shirt, clearly dressing like a child, a trans child, even though this is a grown adult getting some guava sauce at a Disney facility of some sort. I'm guessing this is at a Disney thing. This is a real phenomenon at Disney. And look, what adults do in private is not something I'm completely concerned about. And I don't spend a lot of time on it, but it's all public now. This is what it's like when you go to Disneyland. And I admit I'm not a 100% Disneyland boycotter. I know some of you will have strong opinions about that. But unfortunately, a lot of the other kid entertainment options are worse than Disney, believe it or not. We're worth a longer conversation on a different day. But you do show up and you see this phenomenon. This is a style, a trend where Disney adults show up. They dress as children. They dress as trans children. They are trans. And then you're forced to stand in line and have to explain to your children what the heck is going on or not. It makes your time worse. It makes you feel uncomfortable. And they like that. They like imposing that on us. And so we feel uncomfortable because we have to explain to our kids what these weird freaks are doing in front of them. And they like that. That is something that it is a fetish. And that's the whole point. And you can see what they upload it online, try to get likes for it. But it's all about a fetish of some kind. And that's kind of where the discussion should be going, because that's what they're doing. They like the idea of making families uncomfortable, and they get off on it.
Just like totally sucks the joy out of this bread tower. Makes me want to immediately like leave. Because I no longer feel like safe here. It's like, oh, my guard now has to be up. I'm not going to enjoy this bread as much because my guard is up. We should be able to go places and not have to worry. I don't think I really want this bread tower, actually. I think I'd rather have the check if that's okay.
Yeah.
So this man who's impersonating a woman doesn't want to eat Indian breads because of something. I must have missed something from the beginning of the video. I'm playing from the beginning. Yeah.
Thailand?
See if I missed
Coconut bread from Thailand.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Ma'am.
No, no, sorry, my bad.
Oh, I missed it. The waitress called him sir, and he's insisting on ma'am, even though he's obviously a guy. All right. These people are sick freaks. Okay, I want to see where it goes. I want to see, because it's all performance art.
I think I'd rather have the check if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the training.
Okay,
We're supposed to say friend or just not use gendered language. It's like a pretty big thing that Disney has done. Nothing was wrong with bread. I just don't want it anymore. Just because they apologize doesn't mean she doesn't feel sad or offended. Yeah. Exactly, right? Like, if you've accidentally ever hurt someone and say, I'm so sorry, it was an accident, do you expect them to be like, oh, it was an accident? Of course. No problem whatsoever.
It's all fetish.
It's now undone. That's not how it works. Sorry about what happened.
Yikes.
It's okay.
All right. So, but look, this is terrible for families, terrible for society. But I will say that it does provide the low-hanging fruit for us as a political movement. So, yep. So trans TikToker no longer feels safe at Disney after being called sir. And this dude's got a bunch of weird videos. We pulled a few of them at Breitbart News if you care to watch more. And I think some of you will, because some of you are interested in dunking on the trans. All right. Trump is fast-tracking approval of a Utah uranium mine. This is a hard pivot, but I'm talking about victories here. So it's the go from trans to Utah uranium mine. The Marlow Show, we've got range. This is range on full display. I love this because we were talking about getting rare earths, getting new minerals, drill, baby, drill. Then let's do it. Let's get going, and let's clear out all the green nonsense and more low-hanging fruit. The Biden administration, Joe Biden in particular, didn't want to do any sort of drilling at all, not for oil, not for other resources. And let's just go take advantage. Let's go get the stuff, and let's not wait another day. So it is, let's go in the mines. Let's go create new stuff. And we need it. It is, when I saw this, we framed it at Breitbart as the return of a golden era. And that reminded me that Trump is also doing his Golden Dome, which I haven't brought up yet. But this is with Pete Hegseth, the Golden Dome of the United States, kind of modeled after the Iron Dome, which Israel has, but it's a new missile defense shield so that people can't attack us with missiles, or they can with a lot less opportunity to inflict major damage. I can tell you, someone who has raising a family on the coast near North Korea, near China, very happy to see it. Love to see it. And it is another place where Pete Hegseth, who we champion at Breitbart, has continues to overachieve, I think. And I think that there's a lot of people who are surprised by this, because he was on the couch at Fox and Friends, and then now he's running Pentagon. And there's another great thing for him that he's got going, that trying to move us forward into the future, into a safer future, rebuilding the military in a smart way with strong recruits who are patriots and who want to defend this country, and then getting our dome system built. And also, just look, we all know all these defense contractors. They're all out there. They're all going to make money. Let's at least make them do something that's important, instead of rebuilding Afghanistan and having that not work. So instead of spending money on that, let's build a Golden Dome. Let's keep them busy doing that stuff. Much better. So then we're safer. We do an infrastructure project. Let's do this. Let's make ours a lot more safe. North Korea, which is always threatening us with nukes, you guys might be surprised to hear, they're not happy about this. So they have condemned Trump's Golden Dome, because again, the better our Golden Dome is, the less leverage the crazy people have over us throughout the world. Speaking of crazy people, Russia has dismissed Trump calling Putin crazy as an emotional reaction. I got to tell you, I don't think it was. I brought this up on yesterday's show, and I feel compelled to bring it up one more time, in that Trump doesn't say stuff by accident for the most part. He's very calculated, very sharp. If you've been in the room with him and you ask him a tough question, I've asked him a couple questions where I was expecting to get a more casual answer than I got. Like I one time I asked him, it was sort of tongue in cheek, when he almost got assassinated. I asked him if it crossed his mind that if that bullet had hit him in the head, then would that have been, is he upset by the idea that he wouldn't get to play all of his great golf courses again? Because he's got some of the best golf courses on earth. Trump Turnberry in Scotland is considered maybe a top 5 golf course on the planet. And he's got every course that I've ever seen has been very high quality. I mean, these are world-class places, some of them world historic class, and he'll never set foot in them again if he gets assassinated. And so I made this comment because I know he loves his golf and he's a golfer and I'm a golfer and we talk about golf. And it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I was a little trying to get a rise out of him, see what he's going to say. And he shot back, no, that's not it. Because he's president of the United States. And the right answer for the president of the United States is not to say I would have missed my golf courses. The correct answer would have been to say I would have missed the historic opportunity to lead this country and to make America great again. That's the right answer. But as a guy, you think, man, you buy all these golf courses, you build the golf courses. It'd be nice to play them, right? Not get assassinated. But he wouldn't go there for a moment because he's sharp. He's on point. And he knows how to deal with this stuff. So when he's saying that Putin's acting crazy, that's because Putin's acting crazy. People want to talk about Joe Biden's mental decline. When's Putin done a cognitive test? I don't know. I know he held court with Tucker for a couple hours, but what do we know about Putin's mental acuity right now? He should have been able to win this war fast. He couldn't. It's going on forever. It doesn't seem like he wants to end it. So I don't know what's going on over there. And Trump calls him crazy. Take that seriously. And Trump ripped Putin, saying he's playing with fire. Putin is the one who is not being rational from all of our calculations here. And so Russia pushing back, that's fine for Russia to push back. That happens. I don't read much into that. But I do want to pause and note that Trump saying Putin is being crazy, as I brought up on yesterday's show, is a big deal. And I slept on that, and it feels like an even bigger deal now because that war could go on for years or decades, hundreds of years. I thought that was going to be another one where Trump was going to bring world peace in this regard. And I don't know anymore. I don't know what's going to happen with that war. Will it go on, and will it provide distractions? Zelensky's in Berlin today. He's trying to get more money to fight on his end. He's not in an enviable position. I don't know what he's going to do, but he needs to go try to dig in for a long fight. The battle lines are barely even moving. It is, the front lines are basically identical to where they were. Russia's picking up a little bit of territory, but it's very small. It's a slow slog. They're running out of people. It's very expensive. And neither side seemed anywhere remotely close to bringing this thing home as of now. And I think that's probably sad for Trump because I think Trump would like to broker peace there. I think it could be a legendary thing. He's probably looking forward to it. And now I think he feels like it's going to be a much tougher road to hoe for him. All right. I think that's most of what I want to do for the day. I got a Crockett clip. I don't want to sit in it anymore. Let's see. I didn't even watch this one. I think I just sent it to Misty and said, how bad could this be? Jazzmin's making the rounds. Let's see. What do we got?
Else, because I don't know where he's ever going to go, and I don't think that those that have gone through West Point expected to have their commander-in-chief address them and start talking about trophy wives or start talking about how he had so many investigations. What a great reminder that you are not qualified to be the person that potentially will command us as troops to go into war. Like,
is she a veteran, Jazzmin Crockett? She's a troop? Hold on. I gotta look this up. This is a Misty. Did she serve? If so, that this is really unbelievable that you don't think so? You don't think that she's a veteran? She went to law school. I mean, I don't know, but they are really hiding this on our Wikipedia page because I had no idea that Crockett was a troop. Like, this is brand new to me. But he is not qualified. Like, she does the thing where she does the cadence, which makes her sound like she knows what she's talking about, though she's literally nothing to add to the conversation whatsoever. But let's hear some more of her.
Like,
of her scatting.
That is not instilling confidence whatsoever. And honestly, our troops deserve better. Our graduates deserve better. We as a country deserve better. And frankly, if we are going to ever be seen as the world leaders that we historically have been, the world deserves better. It is time for Republicans to start calling him out and start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is equipped to serve mentally. We know when it comes down to his criminality, he is not qualified to serve. But this is just absolutely deplorable.
Oh, boy. So those, she was talking about Trump being at West Point. He gave a commencement at West Point. I should pull that down. It's good. I love commencement season. I only got so much time. So we need bigger staff. I need to sign all you guys out. My proverbial fake staff that we got to develop over time. How will you all watch all the great commencement speeches? It's great. This is just all unhinged. It's all divisive. She doesn't take him seriously, which is always the mistake. It's always just, how can we dismiss him? Let's not listen to what he talked about. Let's not see why we're getting worked on all the ideas, why all of our ideas are terrible. Let's just make personal attacks on Trump, which has not worked, never worked, not going to work now, hasn't worked in the past. But she says it in that iambic pentameter staccato language, and that, I guess, convinces people in MSNBC to keep having her on. I bet she pulls ratings. But that was her on MSNBC, for those of you who can't see the screen, saying that Trump gave a campaign-style rally. It's such an empty attack. He's not campaigning. He's got nothing to campaign for. He'll never run for anything else again. He hasn't even anointed his successor yet, if he ever does that. So he's done campaigning. He likes when people like him, and he likes talking about the things that are important to him. But why try to actually get to the bottom of this when you can just speak with that staccato language and then have everyone cheer you on the Blue Sky platform? Sounds good. It works for me. Keep it up. Rocker Tom Morello from, Rage Against the Machine. He said, defending Harvard and Bruce Springsteen, saying F Trump. So this is a guy, Rage Against the Machine. Is there someone more machine than Tom Morello, one of the founding members of Rage Against the Machine? It's just, this is what happens. Trump drives everyone crazy, and then now all of a sudden you've got aging rock stars who are supposed to be anti-establishment defending Harvard, one of the oldest, most establishment institutions possible, because Trump doesn't want them to be able to get federal funds if they're not willing to do basic cooperation with the federal government. So that's it. Trump gets them to have the worst positions, and they stake them so emphatically and so emotionally. It's so unappealing. And there you go, DNC. There's your $20 million worth of free advice and advertising. All right, that's the Marlow Show today. Thanks to Misty. Thanks to all of you for telling 10,000 friends and family members about the stuff we do over here. Talk to you tomorrow.